Hi there, this is James Swanwick, and you're listening to the Alcohol-Free Lifestyle Podcast, where you learn how to take back control over alcohol and live a life of health, wealth, love, and happiness. So this is part 2 of a 3-part series with our former client, Steve Wilt, a financial services manager from Akron, Ohio. He's in his late 50s. And if you watched part 1, it was a future self meditation. I hope it was powerful for you. And in this video, Steve's now going to talk about how he stopped drinking, share a little bit more of his story, share a couple of before and after photos, and the impact that he's been able to make in his own firm now and in his family and in his community as a result of being alcohol free. Part 3 is coming up maybe tomorrow, maybe in a couple of days' time, where he'll be talking about how moderation is a myth, or at least moderation was a myth for him, and talking about his journey beyond 1 year alcohol-free. But for now, enjoy part 2 of this 3-part series, I should say, how Steve stopped drinking and the immense benefits and impact he created because of that.
There are 3 versions of ourselves, and there's 3 versions of how people see us. Right? There's a lot of people that want the old Steve or the old Paul, right? They want the old drinking buddy. They miss me, and they aren't comfortable with that person. Now for me, almost all my friends are over that. They get it, right? But it took a while for them to get there. And then there's people that appreciate the current version of you, and they just are happy with you, right? But every now and then you meet people that are looking for the future version, your best self, that call you forward, that challenge you to be better than you are today. And those people are in this room. Or we do that with each other, right? And those people I seek out. I want people to challenge me to be better. When you find those people, I would embrace them, make them part of your inner circle, because they're so impactful in your life, right? So I will share my story, just a timeline. In May of 2019, I went on a retreat with Dominic to design the next 10 years of our life. And at the end of the retreat, it's one of those things where everybody has an epiphany. And somebody's going to reconcile with their son, and somebody else is going to change their careers. And I sat there with my eyes closed trying to share this. And what I shared was, when I get with my poker buddies, I drink too much. I didn't share that I had a problem. I didn't share that I had addiction. The 6 guys in the room knew that's what was going on, but I couldn't get myself to say it. But it was the first time that I started to realize, hey, there's something going on here, right? And I need to do something about it. Then in March of 2020, I joined this mastermind where I learned, breath work and meditation and all these things and morning routines, and it started to enhance my life and get me to the next level. Then COVID hit, of course, and then in May of 2020, I did the meditation that we just went through. But of course, it was COVID, so it was a virtual immersion. So I was in my basement, I was hungover, and I did that, like, as opposed to showing up to that immersion as my best self for an event called The Great Man Within, I showed up hungover, and my great man told me, you'll never be me if you don't quit drinking. But I didn't quit, right? It was COVID, I started drinking more. The stress was building. There were things going on with my kids. I was out of my mind, and I just kept picking up steam. Then in February of 21, I heard a saying, the definition of addiction, using despite knowing there'll be negative consequences. And of course, again, I was hungover. I thought, well, that's me. Maybe I do have an addiction, right? And then in March of 21, I joined a different group called I Am a Comeback. Anybody familiar with that one? Yeah. So I Am a Comeback is a group that is all about willpower. It's only men. It's all tough guys on their retreats. They're flipping tires and shooting guns. But it's none of the science, none of the dopamine, none of the addictive natures. It's all about alcohol. It's just like ketchup. You can give up ketchup, can't you? Why can't you give up alcohol? And I went 90 days without drinking, and I felt so good I kept going. I went 8 months. But in that group, you got the choice between abstinence or control. And I chose control. And they said at some point, if you want to have some wine in Tuscany or you want to drink at your daughter's wedding, that's okay. So on my anniversary that fall, I consciously decided to drink and start exercising control. And I put a plan together, a written plan. And I am a person that creates plans and finishes plans. I was committed to this. I was going to exercise control. And I did for months. Ended up going to nationals in tennis and actually winning it. My partner and I went 11-0, like as opposed to just going and losing. First time I went to nationals, by the way, I hid some vodka in my suitcase because my coach didn't want us drinking, but I took a little just so I'd have it. And everybody had a beer afterwards, and I took one sip, threw mine away. Like I was exercising control. Thanksgiving, I had one glass of wine with the cousins. Right? Like, how did that happen? Even that night, I went with the plan. Just gonna have a little wine, gonna have one martini. Nope. Still regret that to this day. So I took another 4 months off, tried to exercise control again, and it took another 4 months off, and then I decided in the summer to exercise control again until I had a similar outcome. A little worse this time, actually. I won't even share it with you. Just embarrassing drunken stories, right, that we've all had. And then September 26th, I joined Project 90. And I came into Project 90 fully deciding.
I want to use it on the computer here.
Okay.
Because I had to plug in the computer to, so just use it.
There we go. Thanks. And I decided at that time I was going to make a decision. Right? I had to figure this out once and for all. Either I was going to drink or I wasn't going to drink. And I joined almost every call. And as busy as we all are, man, I put it on my calendar. I poloed all the time. I listened to the videos. I did everything because I just wanted to conquer this beast one way or another. And on day 45, after all of these classes with Victoria and Sarah and James, it happened to be Sarah that night. She was going through dopamine, the effects on your brain, the effects of addiction. It hit me like a ton of bricks that this had happened to me. And while I'm responsible for my own actions, it's an addictive poison. It was modeled for me by my family my whole life. It's been glamorized in everything we look at. All the cards are stacked against you in this. And I got really angry. And I decided I'm never drinking again. And I made a polo about it. I got on and told everybody in Project 90, I'm angry, this is what happened, and I'm never drinking again. And I believe that for me and for most of us, until you say it out loud, it's not true, right? Because you can always go back on it if you don't tell somebody. If it's just a deal with you, like I'm only going to have 2 on Friday, if you don't have an accountability partner. So I said it out loud, and a cool thing happened. A few others followed suit. Not everybody, but some jumped on and said, this is it for me too. But it was a breakthrough moment. And ever since then, my mind's been clear. I've known, I'm done. I don't have to worry about it anymore, right? The energy, the whole James Clear Atomic Habits, it's much easier to make one big decision than a different decision every day. I just don't have to worry about it. It's such a blessing. But it takes time. And if you're in Project 90, you still have to make that decision, right? And when you do, you don't have to tell people. You don't have to tell everybody like I am now. But, I told my wife that night too. This is it. But I didn't go tell my friends and family that night. Eventually I did.
Hi, I'm James Swanwick, and I have a question for you. Are you okay living the rest of your life this way? Drinking the way you're drinking, feeling tired, irritable, dissatisfied, unhappy? Do you know you need to make a change, and now? Yes? Okay, great. Let's explore your traditional recovery options. There's AA, and if you want to drive to regular meetings, throw in $1, listen to dark and depressing stories, and try to relate to other members and be part of the reported just 7% of AA participants who reportedly actually create meaningful change, then yes, do AA. Outpatient and inpatient recovery. If you want to drive to a hospital or recovery center, check yourself in, speak to doctors and therapists, and pay tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, while ensuring you give yourself a less than 10% reported success rate, then yes, do outpatient and inpatient recovery. White knuckling it on your own willpower, motivation. Well, you've likely already tried that. Maybe you stopped for a while. Congratulations. But then the slippery slope got you, and you found yourself right back where you started, drinking the way you always did, or worse. Here's the bumper sticker. If you could have stopped drinking on your own, you would have. You haven't, so you can't. There is another way, a way that has a 95% success rate of members achieving at least 90 days alcohol-free. Our 90-day and 1-year programs involve a safe, fun, virtual community of high achievers with a process that boasts an incredible 95% success rate of clients reaching at least 90 consecutive days alcohol-free. We use the latest neuroscience and personal development processes to help rewire clients' brains around alcohol and minimize its importance in their lives. We will show you how to powerfully socialize with friends, family, and colleagues, what to say and how to say it, so people don't mistakenly think you're an alcoholic or have a problem. And we'll show you how to eliminate the temptation of returning to constant drinking so you can finally break the stop-start cycle. If you're an executive, entrepreneur, or investor who's sick of the stop-start cycle and the damaging effects alcohol has on your health, happiness, and family, and you're ready now to regain confidence, become more present with your spouse and children, reduce stress, anxiety, and irritability, to sleep better, increase focus and productivity, and feel better now, you're invited to apply to be part of our 90-day and 365-day programs. Applicants can apply for an introductory interview by visiting alcoholfreelifestyle.com/project90. There's also a link in the show notes. Some tough love for you now before we get back to today's episode. If you have another 2 or 3 years to waste of your life, go ahead and waste them. Don't join our programs, don't change your life, and watch everyone else who does thrive in all areas of their lives. Stay drinking, stay feeling mediocre, and circle back with us in a few years' time. We'll be here for you then, like we have been since 2015. The choice is simple. Do something and quickly thrive, or do nothing and slowly die. We are here for those ready to thrive. Okay, let's get back to today's episode.
And the outcomes at 15 months, my journey's been 3 years since the first time I started this. I went 8 months, 4 months, so in 15 months, whatever that adds up to, I got about 30 months alcohol-free with some pieces in there. Energy, focus, self-confidence. I'm no longer a prisoner, no dirty secrets. I am a man of faith, and I saw different hands go up, and that's fine, but I was, after COVID, we didn't go to Mass as much, and we went back to Mass one time after I decided to quit. And in the Catholic faith, you take the Eucharist, the bread, don't take the wine anymore, and that's when you're the clearest, the cleanest to God. And I always pray at that time, and I give gratefulness, and I pray for my kids. And in a rote prayer, what I didn't even realize, I prayed in Mass that day, help me with my alcohol. And I hadn't drank in like 6 months. But I realized I was doing that for 10 years. I was praying that in Mass. And I just started crying. My wife's looking at me like, why are you crying? Because this prayer that I've been praying all these years, I've finally accomplished. So now I'm closer in my faith, right? I'm closer to God because of that. Relationships, of course. Weight, skin, nails, voice, eyes, hair. I was telling some of the ladies last night. For like the last month, my wife keeps saying, you have more hair. And I'll show you some pictures. It's crazy, right? Like my body is rejuvenating itself. Over the years, people have told me I have a great voice, but I haven't heard it in years. And since I quit drinking, 4 or 5 times now people have said it to me on phone calls. Like my voice is getting stronger because I'm not poisoning my voice every night, right? Business, of course. Golf and tennis. I shared about tennis. So breaking 70 is a big deal in golf. And I did it when I was young, but I haven't done it in 15 years. I've become alcohol-free. Nothing changes. I don't take any more lessons. I don't do any more work. I'm just waking up bright-eyed. I'm getting to the range. And I go out and shoot 69 in a tournament, which I've never sniffed it before in a tournament, being alcohol-free. But there's so many things you can point to where the only difference, the only variable, is that you're not drinking anymore, and these things are happening. Self-love. It was 16 months today, actually. It was the 26th. And I just feel unstoppable. So this is my little before and after. I don't think I was horrible here, right? But the difference is pretty startling to me. I'm just brighter. And then there's the outcomes we don't talk about. So there's three that I'm thinking of here, and things that we don't talk about in public. And it's not politics or religion. What three things don't we talk about with each other in our society? Any guesses?
Sex.
Pardon?
Sex.
Sex is one of them. Yes, absolutely. What else?
Spirituality.
That is one. I mentioned no politics or religion. So, yep.
Fear.
Yep.
Emotion. Fear.
Pardon?
Fear.
Fear, emotion, those are things we don't talk about a lot.
Your vulnerabilities.
Vulnerabilities are definitely one which I love to be vulnerable, and I think it makes really powerful. So the three I'm thinking of are sex, money, and death. It's almost taboo to talk about money in our society, or sex, or death, right? But think about these three things when it comes to being alcohol-free. Money is an easy one. When you $20 a day in alcohol, it's $7,500. $30 a day, it's 10 grand. And then take it up from there. If you like great wine like I did, it's a lot more. If you host parties, it's a lot more. If you go out, it's a lot more. It just keeps stacking up. And then if you make mistakes, right? You break something, you wreck something. If you do have better skin and brighter eyes and more hair. If you have lost weight, if you're in the best shape of your life. If you're more attentive, if you're cleaning the garage and getting the coffee, if you're meeting your partner's needs all the time outside the bedroom, right? And then you come to bed and you're not a drunken fool. Sex should get better, right? I mean, if we could just put that on a billboard, James, we could. Yeah. What drives people more? Money and sex are huge benefits of this that we don't talk about. And the last one is death. Or we've discovered the fountain of youth. It's not what you put in your chalice, it's what you don't put in your chalice. It's the fact that we're not drinking alcohol that gives us the fountain of youth. I feel 10 to 15 years younger. And I keep feeling younger. My wife is calling me Benjamin Button. She can't believe the changes that are happening with me, and I can't believe them either. Right? And sharing that with people, it's crazy. And that's what happens. And it was mentioned, people saying, Paul mentioned it. Oh, wait a minute. So this is me and my wife, Holly, our lovely wife. And this is me at one of our trips for our firm in Cabo at the end of 3 days of drinking nonstop. And, again, I don't think I look horrible, but, that's just the way it is. And this is me at our kickoff, right? And nobody was saying to me, hey, you got to do better. Hey, you got to stop drinking. Hey, if you did this would happen. But I think she deserves this guy, not this guy.
She does look better than you.
Yeah, what's that?
She looks better than you, not for sure.
Yeah, right? She does, for sure. Yeah, I don't deserve her. Here I kind of do, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. But my kids deserve this guy. My friends and family deserve this guy. My company deserves this guy. My team deserves this guy. My church deserves it. You deserve this guy, not the other guy. And you deserve, your people that you care about deserve the best version of you too. Right? And it feels good to deliver that person. This is a talk I gave last year, 660 people at our firm, and I'm giving the closing talk. It was a great honor to me, and one of the favorite things I've ever done. And I wanted to share that I was alcohol-free in this talk. And I discussed it with my wife, and she was really concerned about it. Like, you're going to come out to your whole company? But I had Evan Melcher on my panel. Does anybody know Evan? Yeah. Went through P90, great guy, works at our firm. And I talked to Evan about it. And I said, Evan, when I introduce you, I'd like to introduce you as a leader, so much so that you did a LinkedIn post, which he did at 1 year alcohol free. They got 42,000 comments, not likes, comments, 42,000. And Evan agreed, loved the idea. So I introduced him a whole bunch of accolades, and then I told that piece. And then I said, and as a matter of fact, I've chosen to live an alcohol-free life too, in front of my entire firm. And I said to my wife, if I can just help one person, if one person hears it and makes a difference, it'll be worth it. And there's somebody in this room that it helped, and it's Lauren.
I heard it.
Lauren, anything you want to share?
Sure. Steve, I think you're too modest in talking about what a leader you are in our firm. And, I won't say more, but you've won awards, and I had a connection with you because remember we were on a panel together. We moderated a panel when I was on the panel.
Yes.
1 year before this kickoff, did it virtually. So I felt connected enough to Steve to really hear what he said and realize that I'm kind of angry too that the world is pointing us in this direction. And it didn't all sink in right away, but I think we all know that we never know what we say is going to land on someone and really make a difference for them. And I'm sure there are other people, and there were hundreds of people in the room. You see, Steve's in front of purple lights and with microphones. It was a very produced event, and it was really, really meaningful and really brave.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I will never forget it. Thank you.
Neither will I. No, made it all worth it, right? And I remember when Lauren called me, I don't know if it was weeks or months later, and just having that conversation, knowing that I got to somebody, right? And maybe I can help somebody. And then so many others have come up to me. One comment, one statement, right? So this has helped me clarify my purpose in life. There are lots of introspection, and sharing my story to help others is one. I'm also a big advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion and social justice, 2 areas that I'm spending a ton of time. And now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. Now that I know, I can't stop, right? A guy in our group, Jordan, used the Matrix analogy that once Neo took the blue pill, all of a sudden he could see it. Like once you take the blue pill, once you know, now you know. And what are you going to do with it? And I started helping people through attraction, not promotion. So to the comment, people would come up and say, man, you look good. You look younger. You've lost weight. Right? All these different things that people started saying to me. And I just started kind of walking through the door. They say, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, the normal stuff, nutrition, exercise. Oh, and I'm alcohol free. And you see their head snap. What? And when they say, oh, I should do that, or I should take a break. Like, oh, if you want to get together, I'd be happy to get together. And many take you up on it, and many aren't ready and they don't. And if they do, I might send them a podcast that I did with James, or find a way to help them. So if they reach out a little bit, because we know they're not ready, they're not ready. So I've got people who have said it 4 or 5 times to me in drunken situations. Boy, I want to get together with you. I text them the next day, crickets, But eventually, right, they'll come around. And the way I look at it is if I really care about somebody, I should send them a life preserver, right? But I'm not going to be out there saying, you should quit drinking. I do think we're in an alcohol revolution. I won't spend a lot of time here, but, the other day in the NFL playoffs, there was this Guinness Zero commercial. All these Guinness beers singing. NA bars. There's an NA bar in Cleveland. Like if it's got all the way to Cleveland, not just LA, it's coming, man. So yeah, ways to help. And again, I want to be really clear. This might not be for you. And if you're new in your journey, it's definitely probably not for you. It takes time to get to this point where you're comfortable sharing your story. It does. And you might never get there, and that's okay. As long as you remain alcohol-free, that's all that matters. But eventually, people are going to tell you how good you look. They're going to have these questions. These are all $64,000 questions. And some people end up going through Project 90. Others end up becoming alcohol-free. And some were just starting the journey. So I do think we're a pebble in still water. Right? I know that's not a pebble, it's a drop. But When you drop a pebble in still water, it just goes and goes and goes, right? If we help one and they help another and they help another, and I don't want to be a pebble. I don't want to be a rock. I don't want to be a boulder. I want to be an avalanche. I want to be an asteroid that lands and tsunamis all over. I want to help as many people as we can with this addiction, this vile beast, this poison, right? And if I can do that in my way, I'm going to do it. So there's some more proactive things that I've done, posting on social media, did a podcast with James that some of you may have listened to. I'm considering my own podcast. And more recently, with my firm, I've started the Cap Trust Alcohol-Free Challenge. And HR signed off on this, and we did a 31-day alcohol challenge. It's in the middle of it right now, weekly sessions. Victoria was our first speaker, then James. Sarah's going to speak. Evan Melcher's going to speak. So we invited people to abstain for 31 days. It's very non-threatening. 19% of Americans do dry January anyway. And then we invited them to go 90 days, and that's coming up. We had almost 400 people, 25% of the firm signed up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you. They get points in the little health app of ours. They get a cash reward if they make it all the way. People are commenting in the chats on our weekly sessions. I'm getting emails from people. Got one just yesterday. The top advisor in Boston said, hey, I want to let you know at our big kickoff, a bunch of us were toasting you as we drank our soda water and lime at the advisor kickoff, which is usually a huge drink fest. And he said, I don't know if I'm going to go 30 days or 90 days or 3 years. In his email, he just said this, but I know I felt better than I have in a long time, and this has been eye-opening. And I told Coach Victoria that last night, and she said, what they don't know is we've ruined drinking for all of them going forward. Now that they know, I loved it, Coach. And it might not take now. It took me 3 years. But if we just get them realizing how good they can feel and that it's okay and that others are going down this path, it can make a massive change. So this has been really fun and really exciting. But now I think, oh, it works for my company. I've got 90 clients at our companies. Maybe I do a webinar on this new benefit that you can give your employees through your HR team. Right? Maybe we do a firm-wide webinar if I can get the firm there. Maybe we share with 3,000 companies. Maybe this becomes something new that companies offer across the planet. And if you're not using it, then you're behind the times. So it's just one idea I have, but they're flowing. So I'm not sure what's next for you, but this is a Bible verse that I live my life by, and I have for many years. Do not neglect the gift that is in you. And I've always thought, if I can use my public speaking for good, if I can use my leadership skills or mentorship skills for philanthropy or for good, but now that I have this gift, the way we started this conversation, I would be remiss if I didn't use it for good. I have no choice but to start helping more and more people. So I will say, I do think we're lucky. I think we're chosen. And I do think with great gifts come great responsibilities.
Thanks for listening to the Alcohol-Free Lifestyle podcast. I want to load you up with some free stuff right now. So if you want to go to jamesswanwick.com/guide, I will send you my Quit Alcohol Guide, which has helped six-figure entrepreneurs and top professionals reduce or quit drinking. You can also text the word QUIT GUIDE to the number 44222 if you're in the US, of course. It doesn't really work anywhere outside of the US, but if you're in the US on your mobile phone and you'd like that guide, text the word QUIT GUIDE to the number 44222, or you can go to jamesswanwick.com/guide. If you'd like to schedule a free 15-minute call with one of my top coaches, just an exploratory call to see if or how we can help you, then you can go to jamesswanwick.com/schedule, or you can text the word Project 90 to the number 44222 if you're listening in the US on a mobile phone. That's jamesswanwick.com/schedule, or you can text the word Project 90, that's one word, Project 90, to the number 44222. Feel free to send me a direct message over on my Instagram account, which is @JamesSwanwick. You can also watch video episodes of this podcast and a series of other educational videos on my YouTube channel, which is James Swanwick 1, or you can direct message me on Facebook at James Swanwick Official. And finally, a request. Would you please now write a short review of the podcast inside of the Apple Podcast app on your phone or on iTunes on your desktop computer? Would you please give the show 5 stars and write a quick 1 or 2 sentence review? This will help the show get in front of even more listeners, potentially transforming someone's life. You can rate and review the show inside of your Apple Podcast app on your phone or over on iTunes on your desktop. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you next time.